with Raymond. I am in Professor Slater's EDU311 class. This is my case study presentation of my student Jay. Jay is a first grader. He has his mother and his two older sisters. One is in fourth grade, one is in middle school. Both of his sisters are in special education, and his mother will normally work 2 jobs, so it's up to his sisters to take care of him most of the time. The biggest concern with Jay is that he didn't get a good kindergarten education. He was allowed to do whatever he wanted. When he came into the classroom, he didn't know his numbers, his colors, his shapes. He couldn't even spell his own name. So it made learning difficult because in first grade now, they're expected to know a great deal. I went to the kindergarten classrooms and he didn't get any that these kindergartners did. But thankfully, we knew this and we tried to help him, but he was steadily failing everything. And within 2 months of him going into the classroom, it was believed he would have to repeat first grade. His strengths are that he wants to learn and work. He will keep trying. Even if he doesn't get it, he wants to keep trying, and he's very protective. He knows that he can't read, so if he sees someone being made fun of because they can't read, he'll stand up to the bullies around them, and he'll take care of them. His interests are that he loves books and movies, comic books, basically anything that a 7-year-old boy would love. He'll talk for hours about his favorite game, and it's really nice to see that even though he has all this bad things happening in his life right now, that he can get excited about one thing and tell you all about it. Once excited, he won't let go. If he finds a book he loves, he'll read all the books from that author. He loves math and science because he can use them. He can take apart shapes and find out their size. And with science, he loves any experiment. And he's very particular about the types of books, food, games, like anything that he does. If he doesn't like it, then it's much harder to get him interested in it. The academic behavior and challenges, part 1 is his history. As stated before, he had a very poor kindergarten experience, as well as his behavior because his teachers allowed him to do whatever he wanted. He never learned to sit quietly, to raise your hand, to be respectful of other people's property, and many times he would have to sit out during a special activity to the point that he was taken away from a table and put into what we call an island. He had to stay there until he learned to be respectful of others and follow the classroom and school rules, which was about October. So right now he's on part 2 of a of a program they've created to try to get his behavior under control. He will get 0 to 20s on tests. He's always asking questions, not at the right time. He wants to learn, but he will model after the good and bad students. So the students that are sitting quietly raising their hands, as well as the ones that are pushing and fighting, he'll model after both of them. He never learned what he was supposed to do in kindergarten, so he can't apply any of it into first grade. He's steadily getting better, but it's a very slow process. Part 2 is the observations. I observed them in the classroom, in the lunchroom, and PE. For each part, there was a set of procedures that everyone from kindergarten to 5th grade has to follow. For classroom, he comes in, he puts his items away, he starts his morning work. He's very easily distracted, flustered, and bored. If he doesn't get what's on the board, he won't do it. He doesn't like messy work, so if he has to keep erasing a problem over and over, he won't turn anything in. He'd rather have a 0 for not doing the work than to give him messy work. And he wants to read and socialize when he doesn't get the lesson, which is many times at the beginning of the year because he had no foundation for reading. For lunchroom, they have the same procedure as stated before, so that from kindergarten to 5th grade, it's very simple. You get into the routine, you do it, and then you're out of the lunchroom. He needs to follow directions, and he's also, it's a little funny that he has trouble following directions, But for the lunchroom, he understood that there was a set of rules he had to follow during lunchtime. So the thought is, if we can take that and apply it to other subjects, then he would be able to function better in them. For PE, he follows the rules well, but he also needs to learn to self-check. There are many times he would get in trouble because he would do an action like kick the ball when he was supposed to gather up the balls and put them in the basket. So it's very simple mistakes that can easily be fixed. Part 3 is the social strength and challenges. Strengths is that he looks after everyone, he wants to be everyone's friend, and he thinks that others at his table are the best. They're the smartest, they're the fastest, they are the absolute best. The challenges is that he doesn't think that way about him. He thinks he's dumb, he thinks he's slow, he thinks he can't do anything. So he will think highly of everyone around him, but the absolute lowest about himself. And he wants to talk to everyone. Even if he doesn't know them, he'll just walk up to them and start talking. And he won't try if he doesn't understand it. So if it's 2 days into a lesson he can't get it, then we can easily lose him. We have to connect him back, and we have to give more examples. Effective intervention, whole group. I did lots of examples, real world connection and role play with small groups. We went over sight words. I explained we are all here to learn. No one's going to be laughing. I encouraged him, and I kept making connections. The same connections that I made during whole group, I redefined them, and we explored them more in small group. And he liked that. If there was a purpose behind what he was learning, he would get more involved in it. My reflection is that during whole group, he get excited. We did a writing lesson on superheroes, which he loves, so he was able to connect the dots more, and he did essentially much better in that lesson than he had before. He wanted to learn more, and he kept making connections I didn't even see. So he gets it. He just has trouble communicating it in the correct manner. For a small group, he's easily frustrated, easily flustered, and he needs to learn to take his time. We kept going over that no one's going to laugh at each other because we're all learning. And several times his bullies, I had to stop them because I knew what they were about to say to him. And he needs more practice with sight words. Right now he has a book of sight words that he goes over with his sisters every night. My special intervention was the positive behavior support. I encouraged him. I asked him why are you doing this? Why do you think that? When I asked the why, he was able to make his own connections. I protected him from those that kept teasing him, and he would see that, and he told me later that you stopped him from laughing at me, but I wanted to stop them from laughing at him. So he was able to take a lesson and move it out, and we were all very proud of him. And he needs to be directed and really talked to. I can't just say, good job, I'm glad you did this. I have to say, Jay, I'm glad that you did all of your work today. I know that you didn't get all of it right, but you did all of the work. You did a very good job. And I found out that he is a very good boy. He has the makings of being a good friend, a good citizen, a good student. He just needs to be encouraged a lot more. He needs to keep feeding his hunger to learn. If I'm teaching about a math lesson or a science lesson or a history lesson, he wants to keep learning. And he also needs to be learned to be held accountable. He didn't learn this in kindergarten, so it's the first graders' teacher's job in order to teach him this. And if he knows what he needs to do and why and how it will affect him tomorrow, he will alter his behavior slightly, but it's still an improvement from the day before. What I learned is that all students want to learn. Some may want to learn more about history than science or math and reading, but they all want to learn. I have to model what I expect from them. If I'm having a bad day, I need to model what I expect them to do when they have a bad day. I have to keep encouraging them. And most importantly, I have to have fun and enjoy what I'm doing. If I'm not enjoying it, they're not going to enjoy it. I have to teach them everything that I know and see if there's anything that they can teach me. It's not just me this is how you do it, this is how you do it, this is how you do it. I have to encourage them. I have to give them the items, ask them what they think. And Jay explained to me that even if he didn't get something, he wanted to keep learning about it, because if he couldn't tell me what he didn't get, maybe he could show me. And I learned I can do that with other students too, because if he didn't get something, someone else might not have gotten it, and so I would reteach the lesson again. And just basically let them know that you care. Several of these students come from really bad homes, and if they know you care, I've seen a better improvement than any intervention has done in the past. Thank you.